Hey everyone, welcome to another video. This is Saad Fazal. Today I decided to make a video on FIDO2 security key. If you are using Windows Hello for Business or um, taking a route to the passwordless journey in your organization, sooner or later you will run into the FIDO2 security key. This is one of the authentication method to authenticate your device. It is secure and I would say convenient for the users as well. They just have to touch the key and enter the security code to unlock the machine. So I am not going to enable the Windows Hello for Business configuration and everything because I'm planning to make a separate video on that, especially the Windows Hello for Business key trust. There are two mm, um, primary methods to enable Windows Hello for Business in your organization. The one is the certificate trust. The other one is the key trust. So I have the key trust already enabled. I'm going to make a video later on that, how to enable the Windows Hello for Business in your org. So let's assume you have the Windows Hello for Business enabled already, and you wanted to introduce the FIDO2 security key in your org. So I'm gonna share the method to enable it and I will go into the demo as well to show how does it look like. So let's do it. Okay, so so let me share what I'm doing. So I have my physical laptop sitting at my desk, sorry, Dell laptop, and it has a USB port A, and I purchased this Ubico FIDO2 key from Amazon. This is the key I'm talking about. I have this one, and it works really well. So it has a fingerprint, and it's the only thing which I don't like about this key is the color, but other than that, everything is great. Um, so let's do it. So I have the laptop, the key is already plugged in, but we're gonna start from the scratch, how to enable the key, register the key, and to the point where you can log in your laptop with the FIDO2 security key. Okay, so let's have a quick look at the prerequisites. So these are the assumptions. So assuming that you have the compatible FIDO2 security key listed at the Microsoft website. Um, Let me share the vendors here. 1 second. So this is the link here, and these are the providers. So I am actually using the Ubico one, this one, and it's great. Okay. If you have one of these vendors, you're good to go. These are compatible with Windows Hello for Business and Microsoft based technologies. Okay, so assuming you have the keys already in place, Azure AD Multifactor Authentication is enabled on your tenant. It can be, I'm going to make a separate video on that, how to enable the MFA. You can either enable it via the legacy method by going into O365 MFA portal and enable it per user. But that's not a desirable method anymore unless you have a specific requirement to enable, for example, like break glass account, things like that. But the modern way to enable MFA and the recommended way to enable MFA is through the conditional access policy. And if you have a premium license, P1 or P2, that's great. If not, you can have a free version of MFA enabled for the entire organization by using the security default. Okay, so the third is combined security information registration. So this is the combination of the security registration for your SSPR password resets service, which could be with the write back as well, in case you're using synchronized identities. So self-service password reset is a mechanism where a user can reset their password on their own without reaching out to the help desk. In order for you to make your user fully function with SSPR, you have to register the user. So that one registration is coming from the SSPR. So let me make it more clear. SSPR plus MFA. So the combined registration will give like a nice one registration view that's going to take care of both SSPR and MFA together. So you make sure you have this combined registration enabled on your tenant. You're good to go. Azure AD join device require Windows 10 version 1909 or higher. If you're using Azure AD join devices, cloud only devices, in other words, hooked up to Intune or another MDM, but the source of authority is Azure AD, then make sure that you have at least 1909 or higher Windows built on it. You need, I will remove this for now. We'll discuss this thing later. Hybrid Azure AD joint device require Windows 10 version 2004. So if you have a hybrid Azure AD join, that means like your source of authority is on premises as well as the Azure AD, then you need the minimum version required for this to work is 2004. The device you're configuring needs to be Azure AD join at the very least, okay, to make the Windows 11 for Business work. And the device you're configuring must have the TPM 2.0 or at least the minimum version of TPM that could store the private key for Windows 11 for Business. And you need a global administrator privileges in the Azure AD tenant for tenant side of configuration. And once you have all this infrastructure work ready, then you can create the policies for Windows Hello for Business. In my case, I am using Microsoft Intune to create Windows Hello for Business policies, and I am actually testing with my Azure AD join device. If you are using hybrid Azure AD join and you desire MDM or like to management solution is group policy, then you can take that route as well. So these are the assumptions, making sure you have everything configured from these bullet points, and then this is the time to enable FIDO2 key in your tenant. Okay, so the high level before I get to the lab, I'm going to show you the demo, the step by step. I already configured, but we're going to just kill that configuration and we'll restart from the scratch. Okay, so for enabling FIDO2 key, you make sure you have the FIDO2 mechanism, which is one of the authentication method available and enable in Azure AD. I'm going to show you. And configuring a security key for sign-in for the user account. So actually configuring, or maybe it's kind of like a registration. So register your security key with the Azure AD account, and configuring the Windows 10 device with the GPU or Microsoft Intune to pull the policy to get the, to get the Windows Hello for Business policies, okay, and signing in with the FIDO2 security key. Very high level steps, but I will make it more clear in my demo. And as we go to each step, I'm going to document each step here, what we did so far, so you have more clarity here. So this is something infrastructure work. When you enable the Windows Hello for Business in your org, you make sure you go through this checklist. All right, sounds good. So let me hop on the server and we'll do one by one. 1 second. All right, I'm on my server right now. Let me bring up the Azure portal. And okay, so let's do this. So a few things we need to check, okay? So from the prerequisites, first of all, we have the compatible key, okay? So if I bring my notepad here, let's go checklist one by one. So we have the FIDO security key already purchased from Amazon, which is the Ubico key. Okay, second is make sure the Azure Multifactor authentication is enabled. So that's another thing. So I am actually enabling the MFA on my account through the conditional access policy. But we can double check. So the account which I will be using for this purpose is the help01 account. So let's just dig into this account here, portal.azure.com. Okay, so I am on Azure AD portal here, not the conditional access policy, but let's go to the landing page of Azure Active Directory users. So I will be using the help01 account, which in my testing today, and this account has MFA enable. So if you look at the authentication methods, so I have these authentication methods configured. I'll show you how to configure these authentication method anyway. So let's go to the profile. Let's see. Yeah, so the first thing is I have the MFA enabled. So that's one of the prerequisites. Second prerequisite is to make sure you have the combined registration enabled. So how do you check combined registration? Go to Azure here under the user and user settings and user features here. So under Azure user settings, user features, and then this is a combined security register. So I have it enabled for all. If you are using a new portal, it's automatically enabled. Okay. So that's a second checklist and MFA enable second. I have the device which I will be using to log in with, and this is my physical laptop, which is enrolled in Intune and also getting the Windows Hello for Business policies. Okay, so this is the device I will be using. And my user account, which is logged into this device, is help01. So only prerequisites from the user side is the user must have the MFA enable, and this device has a TPM chip on it. So, and I am logged in as a global admin to configure the base settings. So that was just the one little settings I wanted to show you. The security, combined security. The big one is I will show you here under, let's go back to Azure Active Directory landing page here, and you go to security, you go to authentication methods, you make sure you have the FIDO2 and Microsoft Authenticator methods are enabled. By default, they are not enabled. So I just enable it for all users. By default, they are disabled. Okay, so you make sure it's enabled. And if you wanted to test it or roll out in a pilot for a pilot group, make sure your pilot groups or the users are selected here. But I just don't care. I enable for it for my entire tenant. So FIDO2, pretty much I have like all four authentication methods enable on my Azure Active Directory tenant. So that's a big one. So make sure this is enabled. And I think you can only enable this area or these features by using a global admin, or I'm not sure if it's security admin will allow you to enable that as well. But global admin for sure. Okay, so I have it enabled. So, and the Windows Hello for Business policies are kicked into my device. And let's take a look. How does it look like? So there are two places where we need to register uh, the Windows, the FIDO2 keys. The one is um, in the Azure AD account for the user I am going to authenticate from. Okay. Um, Azure AD account, and second is on the Windows device itself. So let's take a look here. Let me see if I can remotely log into my Windows 10 machine, and then I will go over with you. Alrighty, so I am able to remotely log into that physical laptop and the key is currently plugged in. Let's say this is a brand new user signing up with the FIDO for the FIDO2 key. So the first thing the user would have to do is to register the FIDO2 key method in um, under the My Sign-ins tab. So they can go from here, outlook.com, view account, and or just directly go into the security key info here. When they go there, I probably have to go to the MFA to make sure they can make changes, but since ours is gone through, then it wouldn't do it. So one of the available method here is the security key. So I'm just gonna delete it, and we'll start from the scratch here. So how they want to do here, so add secured, and before I do that, let me reset the key. So I will show you everything from scratch. 1 second. Okay, so I'm back. I made sure that the FIDO2 key is completely factory reset. So I did that. I just plugged in the key and it's like a brand new. So let's start from here. The step number one is to go to mysignins.microsoft.com and security info. They must go through this second factor challenge. Okay. All right. So as you can see, I have a bunch of methods available here for me to uh, go through my second factor challenge, but I don't have the FIDO2 key. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to enable the security key option here. So there are multiple options: authenticator app, alternate phone, security quotients, office phone, and security key. So security key is the FIDO2 key. So I have the USB key here. So I'm going to hit next, and then going to ask me to put my finger on the key. So I'll show you here. Okay, so it's gonna generate a certificate here. So okay, I'll log in to see the model security key. Okay, all right. So I will set up the security pin. This, remember, this is the pin stored on the key itself. So this pin has to be uh, correctly put when you enable the key. So touch your security key that I'm doing already. Okay, so I put my finger on it and then it accepted my pin. So I'm gonna give it a name. I'll call it like FIDO2 key. In bracket, I'll call it Ubico, or what's the spelling of Ubico? Let me check. Okay, hit next. And I'm all set. So that's the one place to register key. That I already did that. So I have the Ubico FIDO2 key registered with my account. So now the second place to register the key and the fingerprints with the machine that you will be logging into. So let's go to settings to make sure your Windows Hello for Business policy is already kicked into this device. In my case, that already kicked in. So I'm going to make sure I have the sign-in option, FIDO2 key sign-in option enable here, and the key is registered. So I'm going to hit manage, and I'm going to touch my security key. Okay. And if you wanted to change the security key pin here, you can do that. You can reset the pin here, but I'm not going to change it. So in my case, it's already enabled. So let's give it a shot. Let's try to um, let's try to log in with a key. Okay, if in case you wanted to do the factory reset, you can hit factory reset, click on proceed. It will tell you to reinsert the key and put your fingerprint after you reinsert, and it will factory reset. And when you factory reset, you make sure that you go through the process again um, to register the key in my sign-ins. Okay, so I have the key and the security code registered with Azure AD. Azure AD will be sending the public key. That's a public key, and the private key is already stored in my laptop. Okay, so if you want to change the security pin, you can change it here, but I'm not going to do that. That's okay. I already have this security key thing enabled in my laptop. Well, let me sign out, and we'll see how does the experience look like. Okay, sign out, and under the sign in option, I will choose the FIDO2 security key. I will put the same code that I set up. I will hit enter. I will touch the key, and it says hello, just a moment, and it logged in. Perfect. So that's it. So as long as you have the proper key registered on Azure AD and the key is functioning, then it should work. And you have all the proper policies coming along from the Intune or either group policy for Windows Hello for Business. If I missed anything, and if you are interested to learn um, any topic which you want me to address, feel free to let me know. I will make a video on it. Leave it in the comment section. Thank you. Bye.